मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है विवेक जी कि वाई टू लिमिट आर आइडेंटिटी एज जस्ट अ हिंदू. What is happening with the thought of Vivekanand ji ki Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, right? Whenever we limit our identity, then I always have a problem with the other person who is not having the same identity as me. Why this creation of the identity as Hindu?
See, because you're a man, right? You have a certain height, you have a complexion, you can't escape it. So, this world moves with two things, genes and memes. Genes are your physicality, the DNA. It makes your hair white or black, your eyes blue or brown. It's not in your control, it's not in your hands. And the second way how world evolves is memes. Memes are the cultural evolution. Small things like paunch hoote hain kisi ke. This is a meme. And slowly, what is our DNA? What is your cell in your body? Your body, the cell in your body, it is nothing but a hard disk. It's a memory of thousands of years of things which are happening. So these are the memes. Okay, it's your choice, absolutely, to carry forward those memes or not carry forward those memes. Like Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, great meme. I would like to preserve it and tell everybody. But who created that meme? Where does it come from? It hasn't come from nowhere, right? Is tomorrow like Apple or Microsoft? You say, why say who created it or what's in the name? Let it be, let everybody use this software. So the thing is, when we say Hindu, it means you know the source of that software, where it is coming from. It's totally your choice. You can say it in your own words. There are so many things in Hindu philosophy which I say in my own way. It doesn't matter. You don't want to identify, don't identify. But ultimately, we are a group of people. There is some common thing between us. We are different from other people. So instead of saying, that's the problem. I mean, this is one question which I don't think most of the communities in the world would ever ask. No, I'm coming, I understood. But this is the modern, it simply means that somewhere we are feeling uncomfortable asserting our identity. Okay, because we are in the West, so we feel why get into Hindu and all those things, just say Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam. Say Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, no problems, without identity, I have no problems. But without identity, how will you survive? It's an utopia. It's 100% utopia. I mean, in so many thousands of years of history of humanity, even animals have identity, trees have, plants have. How will you survive without identity?
We do have identity, human, right? We are human. We are the species, human species. So why don't we go to the highest level of the identity as a human, right? And anyway, you are just running the whole show for the humanity. So why we have to come down 3 or 4 level down where we say that we are Hindu and
Because we are addressing something. See, there are various levels of evolution. Okay, there are different consciousness. There are different levels of consciousness. And this also we have discovered, by the way. Okay, so there are different levels of consciousness. But the problem which we are addressing is not at that higher level of consciousness. If the entire humanity reaches that higher level of consciousness, there will be no problems. And we were living at that higher level of consciousness. People in Kashmir were creating grammar, poetry, philosophy, yoga, Ayurveda, all these great things. But some people with lower consciousness came and killed them and took the land away from them and burned their houses. Right? Being human does not mean that you let people come and kill you. No? So that's why identity becomes important. I know you are confused, but I have a master class called Creative Consciousness.
Sure.
And that talks exactly about this, that how from tribal consciousness, you go stage by stage and ultimately reach the highest level of creative consciousness. Okay? So you can subscribe to that. You will have all the answers. And even then, if you have any question, I'm willing to do a Zoom call with you one-on-one. But as far as Kashmir is concerned, why I am here right now, it's 100%. You have to play the identity problem because it's a conflict of identity.
Sure. Yes, one more question.
Yeah.
So, how did it started, right? ऐसा तो नहीं हुआ होगा कि पल्लवी जी और विवेक जी साथ में चाय पी रहे हैं और बोलते हैं कश्मीर के ऊपर कहानी बनाते हैं. How did it started? क्या ट्रिगर क्या हुआ? क्या ट्रिगर था जिससे कि ये
इसका ट्रिगर मैं बहुत हजारों बार बोला है, जगह जगह मेरे वीडियोस पढ़े, एवरी स्पीच आई से दैट. डॉक्टर सुरेंद्र कॉल मेट मी इन ह्यूस्टन. He is a Kashmiri Pandit and he is also one of the victims. And he asked me, Vivek ji, why don't you make a documentary on this? So I point blank मना कर दी. मैंने कहा पहली बात तो आप लोग दिखते इतने खूबसूरत हो, इतने सक्सेसफुल हो, आपको विक्टिम मानेगा ही कौन? वेस्ट में तो जब तक आप मरे हुए, गरीब, कपड़े फटे हुए, समुंदर के किनारे पड़ा बच्चा, एंड आई एम नॉट सेइंग विद एनी दिस थिंग, प्लीज ट्रस्ट मी, मतलब एक वेस्ट में जब तक वो क्रिएट नहीं कर दो कि ये भिखारी हैं, तब तक फिलेंथ्रोफी अच्छी भी नहीं लगती है. फिर पैसे फेंको उनके सामने, कहो देखो हमने इनकी मदद करी, राइट? तो मैंने एग्जैक्टली यही बोला. मैंने कहा आप फिल्म में लगते ही नहीं हो, गरीब, आपको कौन करेगा इसको? बट देन व्हेन आई वाज कमिंग बैक, I kept thinking about it, and I said we talk about Vasudev Kutumbakam, but when our own people are suffering, I am talking stupid things. I am giving stupid reasons and excuses for not doing it. So do I have it in me or not? And then slowly I came, spoke to Pallavi, and she took time to think and all, and finally we agreed. And we realized that this film means sacrificing everything: money, life, family life, almost everything. Now, nobody works with us in Bollywood. All the media is against us. They are to crucify me. Politically, there are problems. After making this film, I can't move. In India, I can't move freely. There is security with me. I can't go anywhere. My children can't travel with me in my car. As a family, we can't go to a restaurant together or watch a movie together in one car. So we knew about all these sacrifices. We knew for 4 years we won't even make 1 penny. We also knew even if this film does 5,000 crore rupee business, for the next film we won't get even 1 penny from anywhere. We have to invest the same money back. So we were fully aware of that. But then we said that this is the purpose of our life. Everybody is looking for some purpose. So we found that purpose. Why we found this purpose, why not some other purpose, I don't have answers for that. But this has become purpose of our life.
I would like to request, there is a lot of questions, and every questions might not be possible to answer today. So I will request you, every person ask one question. As you all are intelligent here,
and
so,
alternate one.
And one. Yes, of course, 1 to 1. So please ask everyone one question, and rest, if you have further questions, as sir told that you can write them, and they can share the email ID, you can write them, you can talk to them. We are here for discussion. Thank you.
Any further?
And feel free to ask any goddamn thing. I believe in absolute free speech.
Hello, Vivek sir and Pallavi ma'am. Thank you so much for your presence. Thank you so much for actually traveling the world, informing us how hard you work, even as a creative workers, how hard you work. My question is to Pallavi ma'am. I've seen the movie and I've seen the character you've played, and I come from a research background, so it doesn't stop there. Right after the movie, I of course dig more, and when I did my own short amount of research, I realized your character is based on several real people, and several statements that were made by the character you played were from real people. My question is, how do you make sure that these statements won't be taken out of context, or you won't be told, okay, you took it out of context? How do you make sure that you represent whatever your character you're playing as an actor or as a creative worker? How do you make sure that you are authentic for that role, for the people you're representing?
Okay, first of all, I'll answer your taking out of context bit. Are you on social media? You're
Actually,
not.
no.
Wonderful. Even I'm not. But On social media, everything is taken out of context. So I certainly knew what is taking out of context, what it means. What we did was, as you have researched and you've realized that this character is based on a couple of women, you must have also seen the actual speech of this professor. So that is not taking it out of context. We presented the speech as it is, because those were the professor's views. And since the character that I'm playing is, does have this radical point of view, does have this point of view where she is 100% sure that Kashmir should be a free state. There is no, hesitancy in saying that at all. So we have absolutely said it out in the open. My first line is, Kashmir has never been an integral part of India. I'm saying it in the most blatant manner. Now, the reason why, she became so powerful in the film is because we've presented that character very honestly. I don't think Vivek as a writer has anywhere tried to manipulate the character in a way where she comes across as a villain on paper. Because she has a point of view. And if you just listen to her point of view, she sounds very convincing, she sounds very logical. But when you see it in the true context of the Kashmiri Pandit's suffering, then you realize how completely off base she is. What we've done is, we've presented both these things very honestly and we've just juxtaposed them together, and it's for the audience to realize who's right and who's wrong. And hence his brief to me also as a director was that she has to be an absolute honest character. You don't have to play the villain. So if you see her in isolation, even when I see that character in isolation, the first thing that came to my mind was, what a brilliant woman she is. I mean, she's a strong individual. She has, she speaks her mind. She has this capacity to, get the students like this and convert them. Go to her house. She lives in a museum. She has so much artifacts at home. She has musical evenings. She sings. She offers wine to her fellow professors and students. I mean, she talks about politics. She's a political science professor. I would like to spend an evening with a woman like this, So she suddenly became, when I saw her in isolation, she suddenly became very attractive to me. And I knew that is exactly how I want to present her. Because unless Krishna Pandit doesn't get attracted to her, and I don't mean physically attracted to her, but unless he doesn't get, pulled towards her, he's not going to get radically, transformed like this, being a Kashmiri Pandit himself. So that was how we worked on this character. And we kept all the characters very honest. Even Bitta Karate's character is very honest in the film. Because we've given him a speech in the end where he speaks his mind out, where he calls himself the New Age Gandhi, which actually Yasin Malik does. He calls himself the New Age Gandhi.
Thank you Vivek ji and Pallavi ji for joining us today. मेरे पास आपके लिए 2 क्वेश्चंस हैं, आप दोनों के लिए इनफैक्ट. At an individual level, how this movie has changed you as a person? And the second question is, what do you feel how the movie has made an impact at all over India?
How it has changed me as a person, Pallavi, you can answer that better. It's better not to judge yourself. Yeah, but it has changed me to an extent that I have come to realize that the reason, like he was also saying, why not just humans? The reason everybody talks about humanity, but there is not even 1 inch of land anywhere in the world where you can see 100% humanity. The reason is because we always talk about utopian things. We never talk about the real things. The real thing is inhumanity. When you show inhumanity, then only you understand the value of humanity. So I have seen this inhumanity very closely, and I don't think I can ever in my life, whatever life I have, I can ever do anything which is inhuman. So that's very, very personal. How it has impacted India, that's what you are asking me. So Ram Gopal Verma wrote, maybe in a funny manner, he said, after this film there will be pre-Kashmir files and the post-Kashmir files era. And which is true also. Because now everybody is aware. First thing it has done is, we always used to think that Kashmir is some isolated place. It is not our problem. It's a problem between Kashmiri Pandit and the local Muslims over there. It is not our problem. Everybody felt like that. Now everybody feels, oh no, I didn't know. Kashmir is my heritage. Without Kashmir, India is nothing. अच्छा yoga भी वहीं हुआ, Ayurveda भी वहीं हुआ, वो पंचतंत्र भी वहीं पे लिखा गया. Everybody has read Panchtantra. Nobody knew that Panchtantra was written over there. So suddenly we started finding, identifying with it, that acha, this, all the great things I know, they come from there. So it's my duty to at least intellectually or ideologically defend it and support it and win this war. So that is the biggest thing it has done. And the third thing is that it has earlier, why for 32 years this problem was not solved? For 32 years this problem wasn't solved because Kashmiri Hindu community is very small. They are not a vote bank. And when the genocide happened, they ran away. They were forced to run away. Somebody came to UK, somebody Germany, Jammu, Bangalore, all over the world, wherever you will go, you'll find some Kashmiri Pandit families over there. Except for Kashmir, they are everywhere in the world. So they are not a collective, consolidated vote bank. And that's the advantage all the political parties took, whichever political party. There is no political party which can say, yes, I did justice. After this, all Indians have got connected. Recently, somebody was killed. This banker was killed, and see how the entire India came up. In fact, they troll me. They write to me, why can't you protect their lives? Which is a good thing. I mean, which shows that the administration and politics has failed and they want a filmmaker to save their lives, But we have become a collective voice. We have found a pride back. So these are the positive things. And politically speaking, I would say, all those people who were hiding this fact deliberately for so many years, they have got exposed. So you know who are dangerous people. And by the way, I want to tell you, day before, who doesn't know, day before, Supreme Court of India passed a landmark judgment. And this judgment is about 2002 Gujarat riots. And it has categorically, quote unquote, without mincing words, they have said that these people have been conspiring, I'm paraphrasing, have been conspiring to keep India in conflict and create this artificial Hindu-Muslim conflict in India. And these are exactly the same people who were hiding the Kashmir's truth also. So if you connect the dots, you will know who are the real enemies. How I have changed. She will tell you how we have changed or I have. No, Pallavi, she asked me, she wants to answer this. For good or bad, I don't know. The first time she is saying this, I don't know.
See, what happened was when we started with our research, the first thing, for the longest time, we didn't get the human stories because we couldn't, get connected to the community. But while we were doing our research, the first thing which Vivek actually started reading was what you hear in the film towards the end when Krishna Pandit is making his speech. Those are the first things that came across Vivek when he was researching. And from there, it led him to Shaivism. And ever since then, although the movie has ended, our research has ended, Vivek is still reading on Shaivism. I think he's found, it's almost like he's found a long lost friend which he doesn't want to give up on. And ever since he started reading about it, I could see a complete change in him. I think somewhere he wanted to be very honest to the subject, so he completely surrendered himself to the idea. he stopped wearing colors. Not that he wore very colorful outfits earlier, but you know, as men generally do, a brown shirt here and a blue shirt there, and you know, sometimes khaki trousers and a white shirt. He just gave up wearing all colors. He only started wearing black. Because according to him, black has the great capacity to absorb pain. And he wanted to absorb all the pain. And a simile, I would say, कि जैसे नीलकंठ नाम शिव जी का इसलिए पड़ा क्योंकि उन्होंने वो पूरा विष उन्होंने ग्रहण किया था. I think Vivek somewhere did that. You know, he just took inside the entire pain. He also turned a vegetarian. You know, he also started waking up very early in the morning. At about 4:30 in the morning, he would wake up and I would find him when I woke up, you know, researching on Shaivism. And he still is doing it even now. Like even this morning, for some odd reason, in spite of being in Europe where we had nothing to do this morning, we had the morning free, he still wakes up at 4:30 in the morning. So earlier on, we always had this conflict where I would keep telling him कि मैं इतनी जल्दी उठ जाती हूँ, why do you sleep so late? But now my kids are all grown up, so I can, you know, I've done my job and I can keep sleeping until about 8:30, but he wakes up every morning at 4:30. So these are the few changes that I've seen in Vivek. It is, I would say, for the good. I can't say it's a bad change. It is definitely a good change in him. And I think it has made him a more humble person, a more grounded person. Because to give you a little insight, Vivek has lived for a long time in Delhi. So he had a little bit of Delhi in him. But I think this film has killed it completely and I'm very happy about it.
First of all, I just want to mention that my big thanks to both of you. I'm coming from Rotterdam all the way just to say this. Thank you so much for this movie. It was an amazing movie, and Pallavi ji, your role in the movie, I started detesting you, seeing that role. You played it very well. So my question is that going forward, how do you think this abrogation will help? It's a personal opinion. Don't give any political thing, or you are very open about it, I know. But do you think anything, really going on a fast track, something changing in our lifetimes, for example? Or do you think that it's going to be an awareness has been created, but it would take its own sweet time, when people will start waking up? And just one last thing, that I totally echo what you say, that we have to come out and not be apologetic about being a Hindu. Absolutely right. Thank you.
Okay. So, till 1300, Kashmir was 100% Hindu land. There were only Hindus, various Buddhists and all, but basically Hindu ecosystem with Sikhs and all those things. It took 700 years. And today, Hindu population, even Sikh population or Buddhist population or Jain population or Dalit population or Gujar population is almost insignificant, 0 point something. People in hundreds and thousands you can count. So 700 years it took. It happened slowly, nobody cared about it, nobody noticed. Even if you take partition time, any idea what was the population of Hindus during partition, approximately? So what kya percentage? 2 million, chaliye, 20 lakh during partition, and today this not even 2,000, I think, in Kashmir Valley. 700 years. And 73 years almost, for abrogation of Article 370. Now what happened after 2019? That there started a demographic change. For the first time, because it became central government territory, so a lot of public servants from different parts of India started settling over there. And that's what they don't want. There are no cinema halls there, there is no theatre, there is no art, there is no music, the entire population is radicalized, unaware, a lot of poverty, uneducated. So it's going to take some time. But it's going to happen in our lifetime. I'm very, very sure about it. Because abrogation happened in our lifetime. This demographic change is happening in our lifetime. It's slow or whatever, but it is happening. It definitely is happening. Kashmir files came in our lifetime. Okay, so these three things happened in last 3-4 years. I have a feeling that in next 10 years, Kashmir will be as much resolved as Punjab got resolved after terrorism in 90s. This is my personal estimate. Don't ask me why, how, that we can talk on one-on-one, but yes, things will happen. Provided we have a very strong and stable leadership at the center.
Good evening and welcome to both of you here to come from all the way from India to a small town like ours in Bremen and to present yourself to such a small Indian community that we are here, because mostly it happens in the big cities like Berlin and Hamburg and stuff like that. So really grateful and thank you. My question is that how do you people take the courage, firstly, to make such kind of movies based on true life stories, yeah, real history? And how do you deal with the aftermath of that? It's not only about you, it's about your families and more so your children. So how do you deal with that? Because in India, it's always, I mean, I love India. I'm really Khati Indian to the core, although I've lived 30 years in Bremen. But I really know how it works there. And like, don't you feel like, how would you deal with it afterwards? That courage that you really need to bring up such subjects, because there's a lot of unawareness of these things in India. People like Sanjay Leela Bhansali, who also made Padmavat and movies like these, even they dealt with, you know, really consequences. So how does it, how do you deal with
You want
that
to
afterwards?
answer that? The only thing I will add here is that all other people, yes, there are, कई बार फिल्में आती हैं तो दंगे होते हैं, but everybody finally ends up writing apology letter to the protesters and then they release their film. We haven't done anything like this. And I hope in my lifetime, apology will come from the other side.
Well, it's not, there is no easy answer to this question because I can't really say for a fact that this was the day when I said, okay, let's make Kashmir Files. When Vivek first proposed the idea, it took me some time because Bollywood not working with us is an old story. Kashmir may be, might have settled the scores once and for all कि नहीं करना इनके साथ काम, but नहीं कर ही नहीं रहे थे वैसे भी हमारे साथ काम. So that was not much of my concern. My main concern was A, threat to life, and B, our children have, are now setting out in the world. They have started working. I didn't want any of our actions to somewhere compromise their future. That was the only thing that held me back for the longest time. And I'm telling you this very honestly, because that's my first concern as a mother, So I thought of different ways to approach the subject. I spoke to Vivek about this. I said, aisa kare, vaisa kare. And every time I only got one answer, that's not being honest to the subject. I'm not going to beat around the bush. मैं ये नहीं दिखाऊंगा, मैं जो सही है वही दिखाऊंगा. And I said, of course, we show the truth, but can we just dilute it a bit? No. So, okay, fine. He's also right. We shouldn't dilute it. It was just somewhere, I was just trying to play it safe. And then finally I realized that, I'm going about it the wrong way. So I took my children one day, we all sat down together and we started discussing. And I told them that this is what has happened. There was this meeting that transpired between your father and Mr. Surinder Kaul, Dr. Surinder Kaul. And this is the outcome, and we're planning to make a story. So they said, what is Kashmir? What is the story of Kashmir? They are young children, they didn't know. I didn't know the truth before we started the research. Not to this level. So then we explained to them. And I said, my only concern is that, you shouldn't lose some job opportunities later on because you're our children. Because at that point, we didn't even know if this film is going to be successful, So sometimes, there is a role reversal where the children become your parents and they give you advice. And that's exactly what happened. Both my children said, "Why are you so worried about us? We are fine. We'll take care of ourselves. Do what you're convinced about." And it was not just that. I mean, I was convinced once they spoke to me, but not just me, even the children were convinced, and they both joined us in this film. And they have a lot of friends within the film industry because, we have a lot of friends. Some of them, live in the same area. The children have gone to school with them. So they have a lot of friends whose parents are either directors or producers or actors or, and financiers or some way involved with the film industry. मेरे बच्चों ने सबको film दिखाई है. And they said, "Come and see what the truth of Kashmir is. This has been hidden away from us." And he said, this is my father's film. My mother and my father have worked on this film, and they very proudly showcased this film. And both of them, as they say, apple doesn't fall far from the tree, though we tried to get them to do several other things, but both of them joined this profession. My daughter is into production, my son is into direction. And I don't think Kashmir Files has come in their way at all. In fact, they seem to be doing very well.
मैं आपको एक बात बताता हूँ. Let me share. You talked about courage, and lot of people ask us. Almost everybody says, "Where do you get this courage from?" So my answer is this, and I am saying it after a lot of thinking. See, courage is not something you have to find. We are born with courage. Think about yourself when you were a child. If you were locked in a dark room, you would cry for 5 minutes, but then suddenly you find courage. Children have courage to go in dark anywhere. They don't care. If you leave them in jungle, they'll go anywhere. Children are not even scared of animals. I am a village boy. In villages, children play with snakes. They'll catch hold of them. They're not scared of anything. It's the society which tells us, don't be courageous, be scared. Like when I was starting this film, everybody said, "Don't do it, wo maar dalenge." And which is why for 32 years nobody made this film. So when you say, "This is my life, God has gifted with me," like God has gifted us with breathing, similarly God has gifted us with courage. There is fear all around us, and we become fearless in all those things which we love. For example, coming to a foreign land, you think you don't need any courage to come here, start from scratch, that too in Germany, learn German, live like them, fight here, struggle, be divided between two places, one side of heart in India, one here, always confused whether to live here, go back. It requires a lot of courage, but you do it because it matters a lot to you. When something becomes the purpose of your life, if you have any teenager boys and girls, ask them or remember your own teenage days. When you fell in love and it became a matter of life and death, you would jump even from roof and you would do any kind of thing to impress the other person. So when something becomes the purpose of your life, so similarly Kashmir, the purpose of my life is to tell all those stories of India which everybody else is scared to tell. So that's what we are doing here. Time ho to ek do question le le?
Yeah, so namaste Vivek ji.
Two questions.
Namaste Vivek ji and namaste Pallavi ji. Actually, I would like to just say that myself and my wife, both we have actually watched the movie in Bremen itself. But just now, actually, I noticed that you said this thing, actual film was the 3 hours or slightly more than that.
Four and a half hours.
But in Bremen, actually, we have been screened this entire movie. I think it was less than 2 hours or just about
3 hours.
Not 3 hours.
Yes, 2 hours 50 minutes. Yeah.
2 hours, yeah. So I don't know whether they have already censored actually many parts.
No, we have edited it. Initially we cut it to 2 hours 50 minutes.
Okay. Okay. So now my quick question is that in the recent days, actually, we hear about the term something called the Gajwa Hind. I think you might be knowing this thing. So once I was actually reading some of the criticism about this one by the liberals and the secular-minded people in India, actually. So then I also came across the term called the Gajwa Hind. Do you think actually, so this Kashmir Files would be also some kind of the mechanism to oppose this kind of concept, actually, what is called the Gajwa Hind? So that's my question.
What is Gajwa Hind?
Yeah, so I think that is the term actually coined in the recent days. Many people, they know about.
अच्छा वो अच्छा मैं समझा कुछ इसके कॉन्टेक्स्ट में. अच्छा वो
So, do you think actually this film will try to really oppose this kind of this is a mechanism to actually the challenge actually the Gajwa Hind? So that is the question. And then I don't like to actually this thing. This is a wonderful film. I must appreciate. But I have also come to know there are many other incidents like Mopala riots in Kerala, Calcutta killings, and also the Noakhali riots. So they are all actually the genocides of mostly the Hindus actually. So do you have any plan to actually take up such kind of cases in the future? So that's my question actually.
Yeah, so we are making this trilogy. So the number one, the first film was the Tashkent Files. Second is the Kashmir Files. And the third one is called the Delhi Files. It is coming in 2024. And all these things you were talking about, maybe it will answer all those questions. Yeah. Last, चलिए last two ले लेते हैं. ये भी भाई सब पूछते हैं. So you want to ask first? No, let it end on Parvati, Saraswati, whatever. Let the feminine power end the whole thing. हाँ आपकी आवाज़ इतनी बुलंद है.
Thank you very much. I'm a good friend of Mr. Rajesh Mishra.
He
invited me. I'm basically from Bihar. I'm living in Britain. I could not talk to you yesterday. In fact, we were very busy. I'm really very thankful to you both. You made a wonderful movie, sacrificed your life, and did a wonderful job. I'm very thankful to you. And one thing you told me that after doing this movie, nobody is going to work with you in Bollywood. But Muthu Chakravarti and Anupam Kher, veteran actor, work with you. What's the plan when you make a new movie? And Bollywood is going to help you. I mean, direction, cameraman, or actor, actress. I'm a very small actor in Germany. I did about 89 movies in Germany.
You came with the Wolverine that day, right?
I mean, yeah, exactly.
I remember.
अच्छा.
And I'm allowed to ask you, ma'am. He was asking me, this wonderful lady, 35 years old. I said, no, my God, I am not.
I mean, yes. I would love to.
I think she looks like 37, but I saw Nikki Vivek 40 And my friend invited me outside.
Good, I'm happy you came, I saw. So, okay, so answer to that is, first of all, see, Bollywood is not a place or an office where you go and work and you say this is Microsoft Office, this is Bollywood. It's not that. Bollywood is a mindset. Okay, it's a mindset. And that mindset is a very superficial mindset. It assumes, what is Bollywood? Okay, let me define Bollywood for you so it becomes easier. Any film which assumes that audience is not intelligent, that is Bollywood. Right? Because only in Bollywood you will say, they say, directors and producers, leave your mind behind. Don't they say that? In India all the time they say, kya mindless comedy. What is mindless comedy? I have never understood. I mean, if it is comedy, then you need more mind to understand the great humor. But so they assume that audience are idiots. And the second thing about is that it does not value creators. In any film where only stars come in promotion and they start dancing and doing fashion shows and wearing new clothes, and I'm wearing Manish Malhotra costume and this costume and that costume, and they're just dancing to their old songs which they did 30 years ago, and the director and producer and the writer are nowhere in the picture, that is Bollywood. How is it possible, if there is a book, how is it possible that the author is not in the front? If guests come to your house and you have cooked the food, how is it possible that people who are just serving it, they become the stars and nobody even cares about you? You spend 2 days, 3 days cooking for them. Isn't it? Am I right? That is Bollywood. Bollywood which does not, anybody, and I'm not saying India, anywhere in the world who does not recognize that the most important people in a film are the writer, director and producer. That is Bollywood. So I resigned from Bollywood in 2010. Since then, I don't care about Bollywood. But when I say Bollywood, nobody would work with me. What I basically meant was not the cameraman and all those kind of people, but you have to survive. You have to live in this world. You need distribution, you need studios, you need financing, you need a whole lot of things. And these people are also financing films of typical Shah Rukh, Salman's films also. They are typical Bollywood people. So Kashmir, Tashkent Files was stuck for 1 year. Buddha in a traffic jam was stuck for 6 years. Nobody was willing to take it. They said, how can such old people are talking all the time? Who's going to watch this film? There are too many dialogues in Tashkent Files. Nobody is going to watch this film. It got National Award for Best Screenplay and Dialogues. You know? Same thing with Kashmir Files. They said it won't run even 2 shows, you know, or 2 days. It will be taken off on Monday morning. But then it created history. It became the most profitable, the biggest ever revenue earner internationally, a non-starrer film. And so that's Bollywood. But Mithun Chakravarti, Anupam Kher, they are not Bollywood. Because they surrender themselves to the writer, director and producer. They don't question. So anybody who doesn't question our integrity, our creativity, and doesn't tell us that film has to be made this way or that way, we work with them. So you are most welcome to join. One last question, yeah, madam. Sorry.
नमस्कार मारा, मेरा नाम साक्षी कोल है, मैं कश्मीरी पंडित हूँ। जब 1990 में ये सब हुआ था तो मैं तब 6 साल की थी। मेरे पेरेंट्स जब जम्मू आए, उन्हें अचानक से करोड़ों की संपत्ति छोड़नी पड़ी और अचानक से एक छोटे से घर में आना पड़ा जहाँ पे सिर्फ एक बेड था और मेरे पापा बेड के नीचे सोते थे और मैं और मेरी मम्मी बेड के ऊपर सोते थे, क्योंकि हमें पता ही नहीं था कि हमारा आगे का भविष्य क्या होगा। और हमें लोग कहते थे कि तुम लोग जम्मू से कश्मीर से भाग कर आए हो, तुम डरपोक हो, तुम लोग अपने लिए लड़े नहीं। बहुत कुछ बोला उन्होंने हमें, लेकिन आप लोगों का बहुत शुक्रिया। आप लोगों ने ये पिक्चर बनाई जिससे उन्हें साबित हुआ कि हमारे साथ हुआ क्या था, हमने क्या सफ़र किया, जिसकी वजह से हम लोग आज इतनी स्ट्रॉन्ग कम्युनिटी है कि आज हमारे माँ बाप ने हमें इतनी अच्छी एजुकेशन दी कि हम लोग जर्मनी में बैठे हैं। इनका ब्रदर पोलैंड में है, मेरा ब्रदर बेंगलोर में है। हम लोग इतनी स्ट्रॉन्ग कम्युनिटी है कि हमारे पेरेंट्स हमें सिर्फ एजुकेशन दी है, जिसकी वजह से आज हम पूरे इंडिया में हैं, वर्ल्ड में हैं। लेकिन मैं आपका बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया करती हूँ, आपने ये पिक्चर बनाई, क्योंकि हमें हमेशा भगोड़ा कहते थे, तुम अपने लिए नहीं लड़ पाए, तुम लोग ये नहीं कर पाए, वो नहीं कर पाए। लेकिन हम जानते हैं कि हमने कितना सफर किया है, हमारे माँ बाप ने कितना सफर किया। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आपका, बहुत बहुत। बस मेरा एक ही सवाल है कि क्या आपको लगता है कि हम कभी वहाँ पे बस पाएंगे, कश्मीर वापस जा पाएंगे?
इस सवाल का कोई जवाब नहीं है, लेकिन जिस तरह से लोग इससे जुड़ते जा रहे हैं, जिस तरह से जहाँ भी हम जाते हैं लोग कश्मीर के लिए, आपको पल्लवी हमेशा बताती हैं, हमारे जो एक्टर थे प्रकाश बिलावड़ी जी, उन्होंने एक वीडियो बनाया, उन्होंने पूरी फिल्म शूट की हमारे साथ। तब भी नहीं, जब फिल्म रिलीज़ हो गई उन्होंने देखी, एक वीडियो बनाया और उन्होंने कहा मैं जर्नलिस्ट रहा हूँ, बट स्टिल ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ एवरीबडी आई वांट टू से आई एम सॉरी। कितनी जगहों पे मैंने देखा है, अभी मुझे कई ब्लैक लोगों ने भी वीडियोस भेजे हैं, वो भी कह रहे हैं आई एम सॉरी। पर कुछ दिन पहले ब्रिटिश पार्लियामेंट में इतने सारे लोगों ने यही बात बोली। जो भी देख रहा है वो कह रहा वी आर सॉरी। मेरे ख्याल से ये एक बहुत अच्छी बिगिनिंग है। यासीन मलिक जेल में, उसे उम्र कैद की सज़ा हुई है, ये एक बहुत अच्छी बिगिनिंग है। आज पूरा वर्ल्ड कश्मीर के बारे में बात कर रहा है। ये स्टेप बाय स्टेप होगा। हो सकता है आपके और मेरे जीवन काल में ऐसा ना हो पॉसिबल है, हो सकता है हो भी जाए, कुछ कह नहीं सकते। आपने कभी सोचा था 370 हटेगा? मोदी जी ने प्रॉमिस भी नहीं किया था कि मैं हटा दूंगा, पर हटा। क्या पता कल को कुछ हो जाए। लेकिन एक बात तो मैं आपको गारंटी कर सकता हूं कि आज नहीं तो कल ये होगा डेफिनेटली। इसको अब कोई तो ताकत रोक नहीं सकती। अब अगर इसको कोई रोकेगा तो वो टेररिस्ट लोग नहीं रोक सकते, अब इसको रोकने वाले हम ही होंगे। अब ये हमारे हाथ में है, मैदान खाली है, हम जितनी दूर चाहें दौड़ सकते हैं, हम जहां चाहे वहां जा सकते हैं. इट्स टोटली अप टू अस. और आप लोग भी 32 साल तक चुप रहे, अपना दर्द पीते रहे. अब मत करिए ऐसा. मेक स्मॉल कम्युनिटीज of 10-15 people. Don't have to meet every week, but meet once in a month, once in 2 months. And जिससे भी आप मिलते हैं, सबसे ये बोलिए कि commit yourself for 5 hours in a week. Just it 5 hours in a week to work for a cause. And that cause doesn't have to be only Kashmir. That has to be about Bharat. That has to be about our civilization. Once the world feels we are united and we can't be broken, सारे टेररिस्ट भाग जाएंगे छोड़ के, आप यकीन करिए. जब भारत ने सोच लिया, एवरीबडी डिसाइडेड कि अब पंजाब में टेररिज्म खत्म ही करना है. आपको पता नहीं याद होगा 90s का कि नहीं, मुझे अच्छे से याद है. तो देखिए कैसे गायब हो गया वहां से. तो वंस वी डिसाइड, वंस वी आर यूनाइटेड, वंस वी बिकम वन यूनिफाइड वॉइस, आई प्रॉमिस यू justice will be done. Thank you very much.